Hey, everybody, welcome in, welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks. This is the pod life of Angel and Tina. I am Tina. Angel is not present today. She just had other things to do. However, today's episode is super special. Not only is it our 10th recorded episode, so we've been on here for 10 weeks now, and we really appreciate your support and your feedback and everything. Another reason why it's so special is because I am sitting down with someone you may know as Mama, but she is Mama K for me. We are going to talk about life, love, mistakes, memories, all the things. So grab a cup of wine or a cup of tea and let's go. Hi, Mom. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, Tina. It's a pleasure.
All right. We are going to start with you as a younger self. So tell me about how you were like when you were a kid.
I had a wonderful childhood. We had 8 kids in our family, and I was the first girl, but the second child. I had an older brother, so there were 6 after me. And my mom and dad both worked. My mom had a full-time job. My dad had actually 2 jobs, and he would come home from his full-time job. He worked suburb of Chicago called Henry Valve. He was a draftsman, and he designed valves for submarines, manufacturing. And my mom was, back in the day, a key punch operator. They didn't have computers. They put everything in through key punch. And that's what she went to school to learn to do when she needed to go back to work to afford all of us 8 kids. And she worked downtown, and then she went to work in a bank. It was Continental Bank at the time, and she worked there as a teller, and then she finally worked in safety deposit box area and then became the supervisor there. So they both were very busy. My grandmother lived with us. We had a huge house in Berwyn, Illinois, which was a western suburb of Chicago. It was Chicago, Cicero, and Berwyn. We had a huge house, huge. It had 3 big bedrooms upstairs. It had a big laundry chute. It had a full basement. It had a cellar. My grandmother had a residence downstairs with a living room and a bathroom. And we had a pretty decent sized backyard, 2-car garage. We lived within walking distance of both our grade school and our high school, which was wonderful. My grade school was probably an 8-block walk, and we all walked there 4 times a day because everybody had to go home for lunch. You could not eat lunch. It was a Catholic school, and you could not eat lunch at the school unless you had a note that nobody was home and you had to eat lunch there. So in the cold, freezing weather, we used to wear leggings, boots, scarves, whatever, to walk back and forth to eat lunch at home. And then we came back. It was school run by nuns, and I graduated from there and then went to Morton West, which was just across the alley and through a neighbor's yard. And that's how we got there. So we could leave probably 2 minutes before class started and make it on time, which was great. Loved it. And we could stay after school for all kind of activities and not to worry about getting picked up or get a bus home or whatever. And back in the day, Morton West had this huge field next to us. It was called Gage's Farm. And it had all kind of deserted buildings, farm buildings, stalls for animals, sheds. It had mounds of just dirt, whatever. And we used to crawl under the fence with all of our friends, and we used to play Army back there. It was probably one of the most fun times of my life because we all had different armies, and we captured people and put them in the sheds, and we guarded them and then had to take out more people. And we just played there all day from morning till night. We did not want to come home. It was so much fun. And in the field at Morton West, they had fireworks for 4th of July. So that was fun. We all walked over there for 4th of July. We had Cermak Plaza because we didn't have malls back then. We had Cermak Plaza. They had a Jewel. I used to go shopping with my grandmother back then, and they didn't have charge cards, so we would count in the grocery cart. We count all of our groceries and add them up and see if we had enough money to pay for them, because it was a big deal paying with a check. Yeah, and my
Yeah.
grandmother didn't even have a checking account, so she just had cash. So we used to say, "Oh, do we have enough money to buy this? Do we have enough money to buy that?" And then I'd walk back home with her. I could actually walk too, about 3 blocks to catch the bus, to catch we call it the L. It was the elevator to go downtown. A lot of times I would just catch the bus and the elevator and ride down to meet my mom after work and ride back with her. It was just really a good time growing up. It was a neighborhood. We had so much fun and I loved it. Then I graduated Morton West, and it was really weird because counselors at that time for girls, you would say, oh, well, they would say to us, well, what do you want to be when you go to college? You
Like a
want to be,
nurse or a teacher.
right, you want to be a nurse or a teacher.
Hmm.
So, like, oh, big choice. So, of course, I don't want to be a teacher. So, anyway, I said I want to be a nurse. So, I went to this little college in Winona, Minnesota called St. Teresa. It was an all girls college. And in the town, there was Winona State, which was a mixed college, boys and girls, but it was just a day college. Ours was boarding. And then they had St. Mary's, which was a boys' college. And we could get there by bike. We couldn't walk, or everybody hitched rides around town. And it was on the border of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and drinking age was 18 in Wisconsin. So we used to hitch rides in
Ooh,
Wisconsin and go drinking
going
in
to
bars.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. And then we had a
Turn up.
curfew. We had a curfew at the college for the girls, and a lot of times if we didn't make it, we'd have to crawl over the fence and then crawl up into the windows, and they would actually lean down and throw us bed sheets, if you can think of it, to get us up into the windows for
Well, he was a big girl.
our doorman night. Yeah, we had a good time.
He was a rebel.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, you had to do something because it was just all girls and it was so boring. But anyway, so after my first year, and I did a lot there, I worked at a drive-in, kind of like a Sonic, where we went up to the cars and brought trays of food and that type of thing. And I actually rode my bike there. And then I also taught communion classes at the Catholic Church. So I did that because I was just bored.
And this is when you were in college?
Yeah, because it was a college such that a lot of girls were local. They came from farmlands in the area, and they would go home for the weekend.
Right.
So the weekends were really dead, and it was just for kids who were like too far away. For me, like Chicago, it was Winona, Minnesota, Chicago. I forget how long it was. I must have been about 10 hours, I think.
Mm-mm.
But anyway, so yeah, so I did a lot. But then one of the girls I met there, Valerie, she said that she was bored and she wanted to go back home. She didn't want to return her second year of college. Well, one of the reasons I had picked it was because you did your nursing training at Johns Hopkins in Rochester, Minnesota. And I thought that would be a good experience. But anyway, so I tried to talk, and she was in teaching. She wasn't in nursing. She was in teaching. She goes, no, I'm just bored. I don't like it here. I want to go home. So I actually tried to convince her, but then she convinced me. So I said, you're right. I'm bored here too. I want to go home. There just wasn't enough to do. I'm just a very active person. And like I said, growing up with 8 kids, I took care of my baby brothers. The 2 youngest ones were boys. And I used to, take them to the pools in the summer, to the parks. I used to just kind of babysit them. I was like their mother.
Yeah. Speaking of 8 kids in that house, how did you guys sleep? Like, who was all in one room? Like, how many bedrooms did you guys have in that
my
house?
sister and me were in one, and we slept in the front bedroom, and we were kind of over a roof. We could have snuck out, but we never did. So we were in the front room, and then I guess in the middle bedroom, there were like maybe 3 kids. And then in the end bedroom, maybe 3. But then we had another sister, and I can't remember where she slept for the life of me. My mom and dad slept downstairs on the first floor, super small bedroom, super small closets. They used the bathroom that everybody used down there.
Please tell me you have more than one.
we had bathroom upstairs and downstairs, and my grandmother had a bathroom downstairs. So we had like 3.
Good.
But I can't for the life of me remember
Without them kids.
where my younger sister slept, because I know we had 5 boys. So there were 3 boys in one room and 2 boys in another. But I don't know what happened to my sister. I don't know where she slept, to tell you the truth. I don't remember. But
we'll have to ask Nana Rose about that.
Yes, I will. I will have to ask her. I can't ask my sister because unfortunately she died in a car accident when she was like 32. Yeah. So, yeah.
Sweet baby Auntie Lisa.
I know. I know.
She was so beautiful.
She
so
was
nice.
beautiful. She was beautiful. She had beautiful natural red hair and beautiful teeth, beautiful eyes. Yeah, just gorgeous person, gorgeous personality. But yeah, I will have to ask my mom where she slept because I don't remember. So anyway, came back home, went to Loyola. I actually had to take another chemistry course to make me eligible for Loyola to get in their nursing program. And I went there, and Valerie was my roommate. We had 2 other roommates. We were in a room that was, I don't know, 12 by 12 with four girls in the dorm. And I got past that. Hated Loyola. Don't like the Jesuits. I just glad I'm done with school and got out of it.
Girl, same. That was hell.
Yeah, I know it was. I mean, we had fun, but and actually I met my husband in my last year of school.
We will talk about that in the future.
But I had a wonderful childhood. Loved it.
Yeah. Like, what was your relationship like with your parents growing up?
Okay, this is really strange, and I hope my mom will never listen to this broadcast, but my mom was the type, when she got mad at you, she didn't talk to you. She put the silent treatment on. She did it to my dad. She did it to everybody, and it's horrible. It's horrible because I know my dad would be down in the dumps sometimes and go, Dad, what's the matter? Oh, your mom is mad at me, but she won't tell me why. And it's like, gosh, that's ridiculous. And she would do the same to me. And I just think that's a horrible way of having a relationship. And then, of course, my mom, because I was the oldest girl, well, I was the oldest girl, second oldest child. She said, oh, I always expect a lot of you. I expect this and I expect that. And I just don't think that's fair. I just don't think because you're the oldest child, you should be expected more of than the other children in the family.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just...
Even though as the baby, there's only 2 of us.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, nobody gets a degree in parenting, and everybody makes mistakes. And I love my mom, and she has a beautiful heart and everything else. But I mean, I could say the same thing for myself. I'd go back and make changes too.
I mean, even me, I'm almost 40, and I mean, I'm not a parent, but I mean, people make mistakes. That's what growing up in life is about, making mistakes, and
not
as long as you learn them. Yeah, as long as you learn from them.
Right, and not getting depressed, and you learn from them, and you try to be better, be a better person for it, and treat people better. Like now, and that brings us to now, because like I did work, not where my 2 girls had to go to daycare, but I did work because I just wanted to. I mean, I had kids, but I felt that I just loved being a nurse, and I just loved it. And I loved it. And to me, it was kind of boring staying at home with kids, especially when they were in school. I mean, what do you do all day? You know, what do you do?
Sleep.
Well, okay, so my husband got transferred to Mississippi from Chicago.
Then they had me.
Yeah, no, but that was just days after my first daughter was born, Leah. Mm-hmm. His boss came to him and told him, well, either you have to go to Mississippi or you're going to be out of a job. And he didn't want to move, and he knows I didn't want to move because that was not the first grandbaby. There was a grandbaby boy in the family, but it was the first granddaughter. Yeah. So he applied for all jobs, and at the time it was a hard time to find a job in the Chicago area.
So did he tell the boss, like, can you give me like 2 weeks to think about it, or?
Well, yeah, he did. He did, because in the meantime, he was applying for jobs like crazy. Mm-hmm. And finally couldn't find anything. And I mean, I was willing to go. I never liked Chicago weather. I just, it's too cold for me. I never liked it. I never liked cold. Even though I had fun, with skating and tobogganing and everything else, sledding. try to make the most of it, but I don't like it. So so we moved to Mississippi when
Like, how'd you feel? Like, you just had a baby and your husband gets laid off. Like, what was going through your head?
well, I could have gone back to work because I was working full time as a nurse before I had my first child, Leah, and I could have gone back to work, and he could have been Mr. Mom, and that would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't want to. He had this work ethic that he
So
had to
it
be.
wasn't like, oh my God, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, no,
There was
no.
always like a plan B if
Yeah.
we, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I could have gone back to work, and he could have been Mr. Mom, but and that happened another time in our life that I wished he would have been Mr. Mom, but he wasn't. But he makes a much better parent than I was because I didn't have a schedule for you guys for the two kids. I mean, it was like, okay, if you want to do that, we'll do that. If you want to sleep, sleep. And that's why I love summertime because there was like no schedule.
Yeah.
And even, you know,
Well,
I just,
summertime, we were mostly in Chicago area visiting, grandma and grandpa.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And your other cousins
Yeah.
and aunts and
Well,
uncles.
yeah.
Yeah.
All of them, because all of
'Cause
them lived up there.
I was
It
the
was
only,
very nice.
yeah, I was the only one to have moved out of the area. I was the
Yeah.
only one of 8 kids to have moved out of the area.
So you talked about like, growing up, relationship with your mom. What about your dad? I know grandpa is no longer with us and we, miss him dearly. How is your relationship with him? Was it different? Like, was he more supportive of like letting you just be more, free and not like basically being the babysitter or the figure for your
Yeah,
younger
my dad
siblings?
had no he was great. He I shouldn't say he had no expectations. I don't know how to say it, but he just accepted you for how you were and he was supportive. I mean, anything you would come to him, he'd go, that's okay. He was really laid back. I mean, I hope in a lot of ways that I'm like him because never carried a grudge, never got angry, and that's probably why he had high blood pressure and a stroke later because he probably held everything in. But yeah, I mean, he was just a wonderful person. And that's why when you have such a wonderful father, it's hard to find a husband to match up to him. Because you judge, I think, the guy that you're going to marry, you judge it always according to your father. I mean, who else do you have to judge it to?
Well, I just have, standards and I'm not going to drop them for anyone. I did that before and we kind of know what that was about, but that's a later date.
And unfortunately, you didn't know your grandfather that much.
I did.
But like you said, that time he stayed up with you all night.
Yeah.
Because you had a stomach ache.
Like, yeah, I was visiting
you were
them.
homesick.
I was homesick. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
homesick. And I was, for some reason, I got stuck with Nana Rose in the bed. And I woke Nana Rose up and I was like, hey, like, I'm sad. I miss my mom and my dad.
Yeah, I know. I was
And
that
then
way at camp.
and then so, I don't know, she probably had to work the next day.
I think, Grandpa retired before her.
Yeah. And she just got Grandpa up and he took me down. He made me some, bread and jelly, some probably hot tea. And I remember staying in the living room and that blanket means so much to me. And then finally that blanket made it to my apartment. So I'm excited to have that blanket because it just has a lot of meaning to it for me. It's a Disney little blanket, but it's more than a blanket to me of memories. So when you were little or growing up, college, whatever, you said that you could either be a teacher or a nurse. Did you have, what was your biggest dreams when you were little? I know they probably changed over time, but, because everyone's like, oh, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But, as you were, maybe teenager, what was, your biggest dreams? What did you want to accomplish?
I really didn't want to get married as early as I did, but when I met my soon-to-be husband, I was 20 or 21, I can't remember. He was 7 years older, 27. So, yeah, 21, 20, he's 26, 27, whatever. And
you were 7 years apart.
Hmm?
You were 7 years apart.
Yeah. So I had gone from living in a household and having, of course, pretty much everything done for me because my grandmother, she did the wash. I helped her with the cooking, helped her with the shopping, of course, but I helped her with the babies. But anyway, but you're protected. You don't have responsibilities like for paying bills and all that sort of thing. And then I went to college and I stayed in the dorm. And then when I met my husband, it's like he wanted to get married. If I look back on it, he kind of gave me an ultimatum. And he said, well, either let's get married or break up. And really when I think about it, I should have said, well, let's break up because
then you wouldn't have me.
I know. So I did take the right path, but I don't know,
You should never. I mean, I love Dad, and may he rest in peace. My dad passed away. It will be probably 8 years in December. Love him to death. But if a man ever gave me an ultimatum, I'm like,
well,
all right,
I'll
see you later.
It was a different world back then.
Right, of course, because it was
women were expected to get married
right,
and have kids.
And be the household.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. It was different.
I just followed that path. So when he died, like you say, 7 years ago, it was scary because
this
really,
was your first time
right, being on my own.
alone.
Being on my own.
Yeah.
Being totally responsible
I know.
for the finances, for buying a car, for arguing with people about every single thing because he did that. Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it's
I know
hard.
you keep on like, I can't believe you did this because I've lived on my own since when I was 21, we moved to Nevada. I lived with Leah, and then after that I moved in, back to Virginia, and I had someone, and then finally I've been like living on my own for like almost 16 years.
I know.
And like you're just like, I can't believe you do it. I'm like, but now I see this side, like, oh, I'm used to it. Like I know when like I first, like you, I was terrified because I always had someone to come home to, or someone's a companionship.
Yeah, you never stayed in a dorm.
Yeah, no. I did community college, and then I took a break, a very long break, and then I was working full time, and I did college online full time, and so like I never like experienced the dorm room or anything like that. But I mean I wouldn't change it. I love living by myself. I do. I could do what I want and everything like that. Do you enjoy it more? I mean, besides like all the responsibilities.
It's always good to share responsibilities with somebody else.
Yeah.
It's hard to take it all on. It causes a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Do you think?
But you have. So I rent. You own.
Yeah. That's a big difference. Yeah.
I've never personally gone in and did the paperwork to buy a car. I wouldn't know
Dad
what
did
to.
It for you.
Well, it's my graduation gift. Thank you.
Yeah.
But like I never like did that. The only biggest challenge that I had is like when I went back to school and I had to fill out all those student loans,
I know,
the
you did a great
FAFSA,
job.
the
I'm
grant,
so proud.
and you have to have a good counselor. And she was great. I don't know her name, but she was great.
She was there at the right time.
She was great, yeah. And that's why I think you just have to have a great school counselor to kind of guide you, to be like, okay, this is what you do. I researched the loans myself, and I was like, I'm not taking this one out.
Too bad you didn't go back to her once you graduated magna cum laude and just said thank you. Yeah. Because you're right. If you could have done it without her, because you didn't have any of my help. You didn't have any of Dad's help.
Yeah.
You did all those papers by yourself.
Yeah. And that was like the biggest. I mean, it's always great when you come visit because you're like your grandma. You cook for me, you do my wash for me, you take care of my doggo, and so I mean that helps a lot. So that kind of takes a lot of responsibilities off of me because working full time, being the only one here, and like have no family here, but I do have friends that I consider family, which is wonderful. I know I could call them if I had an emergency and they would be here. So I mean, I miss having a companionship, of course, but overall, I'm good by myself.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes to come home to a home, an empty house,
It is. It
and
is.
eat
And
a
then you're
meal
like,
just for
oh,
one.
I
Yeah.
have to, yeah, I've wasted so many food, so much food. To dad, how did you guys meet? I know you
Well,
said like you were in school.
yeah, I was in college at Loyola and in the dorm, and my second cousin was getting married, Jerry. I loved him to death. We used to call him Porky. He was big. I mean, I don't want to say he was fat, but he was oversized, but a wonderful personality. I mean, gosh, and a heart of gold. And he used to play in a band. His band actually played for our high school. We used to have a high school, not high school, well, kind of like just a group from our Catholic church, like a teen group, I should call it. And we used to have like dances, like teen dances every maybe month. And he played there for us one time. And he had a band, and we had a bunch of second cousins that were so much fun. I mean, a lot of male, I would say male second cousins more than female. But anyway, he was getting married, and he asked me to stand up. And then he asked Dwayne to stand up because Dwayne was actually his friend from forever. I think they went to school together and stuff. But then he called off the wedding. And so we never met. He told me, yeah, he told
Wow.
me, I'm not going to marry Linda was her name, not going to marry her. And I said, okay, fine. I wasn't going to stand up with Dwayne. I was going to stand up with another of my
When you were with
cousins.
the party,
Yeah, called
the
Gregory.
wedding
Yeah, and
party.
he was going to stand with somebody else. But then it was so funny because Jerry said, let me give Dwayne your number and he could call you. Well, he really didn't. It actually, that wasn't when I was at Loyola. Now that I think back, that was when I was at St. Teresa. Because
Hmm.
I think I remember him saying, "Oh yeah, Dwayne and I are going to drive up, and we're going to come visit you at St. Teresa after they call off the wedding," but they never did. Then when I was at Loyola, he finally decided to get married to the same
To the same
girl. Yeah, they
girl.
decided to get married again. Yeah, then I just met him at the rehearsal party, and Dwayne was talking to me. And
To start a conversation.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you and dad would have probably, I mean, never really evolved if that wedding never happened.
right.
Wow.
But the weirdest thing is my lovely cousin Jerry, who's just wonderful. He actually ended up dying about a year ago. Just a sudden death.
Hmm.
He was about 70, 71. I know so many people that died in
Like
their
around
like around
70s.
70. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Linda, her son, they had an adopted son. Her son came to get her to go to the funeral home, make the arrangements, and she was found dead in the home. Just like 2 days later after he died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's so weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. But so that's how we met. And then we just started dating after that. We were in Chicago. He would drive up to Loyola after work. A lot of times we'd go out. There's so many things to do in Chicago. Go
Hmm.
on, the boats on the lake and so many restaurants. And I mean, that was before disco.
Hmm.
So we would go to a lot of bars with bands and dance. And then disco just started coming in right about before we got married. Because that's got when Saturday Night Fever came out with John
Man, the
Travolta. Yeah,
disco.
yeah. So we dated for about a year. We were engaged for a year, and then we got married.
Yeah.
And I got married in December of '75, and I actually lived at his house with his mom and dad because I had to do nursing in the community to hospitals and stuff, and I did not have a car. And the transportation was so much easier from where he lived.
Okay.
So it was easier to get public transportation. So than Loyola. So yeah, so I actually lived with his mom and dad and him. We lived there until I graduated in '76 in May, and then we got our own place. We got our own apartment.
Awesome. So, what is like one of the biggest lessons you learned about love?
The biggest lessons is actually something one of his coworkers told me when we lived in Roselle, and they used to be in a carpool. And he would stop off after work and just kind of talk for a little while. And he was getting a divorce. And he said, you know what? He goes, marriage is not a 50-50 thing. It's a 100-100 thing. You both have to go 100% because you have to cross over. You don't meet in the middle, you cross over the extra 50%. Go the
I
extra
like that
50%.
because everyone's like, oh, marriage is 50-50.
It's not.
It's not
It's
because
not.
everybody has to give their 110% in there
Yeah.
in
And
order
that's
for
what
it
he
to
told me.
survive.
Yeah, and then of course, I think a big thing with marriage is working. I think one of the biggest things that people break up is money. It's always money. You have to have,
Money is the root of all
yeah.
evil.
If you don't have money, there's going to be arguing about everything, and everything costs so much nowadays. You have to have, I would say, when you get married, each of you have to have some good savings in the bank. You have to, because you need a basis. You need that basis so money doesn't tear you apart in your relationship.
Hmm.
It's just, everything is just so expensive nowadays. And even then, if you just, and actually, that's what Dwayne, my husband, said about me. He says, I couldn't believe that you had such a big savings account. He said, I can't believe that because I guess girls he met before me had nothing.
Nothing.
But I always had a job. I
Right.
always had a job.
Always had money saved.
Yeah, worked at fast food places.
White Castle, shout out.
I worked at the rectory, at our church. I did babysitting. We only used to get 50 to 75 cents an hour back in the day. Yeah, I babysit for the kids next door. 50 cents an hour, 5 kids.
Wow. 50
Yeah.
cents an hour, guys. Remember that
Yeah.
at this time frame where you think you're getting paid low. Just remember 50 cents an hour to babysit how many kids?
5 kids next door.
5
Yeah.
kids. So speaking of kids, we're gonna go further into parenting, how parenting, just how it made you grow or things like that. So parenting me or Leah, both, whatever. What went through your mind when you first out you were going to be a mom? Were you excited? Was it the right time? I mean, I know nothing's ever the right time, but were you planning?
No, I wasn't planning a pregnancy, but I was 30 years old, so that's
Yeah.
pretty old for back in that day.
I mean, was
But-
was it a shock?
Yeah, it was a surprise, but it was a nice surprise, of course.
For Leah or for me or both?
Not so much for you. I mean, I always thought that the first kid is the biggest hurdle. And I thought, well, 1 kid and then having 2 isn't going to be that bad. But yeah, it is a lot more work. 2 kids are a lot more work than 1 kid. It's not that different. But I think being a nurse, I think I was afraid because I knew all the things that can go wrong when you're pregnant and having a baby. I just did not enjoy my pregnancy. I was just terrified the whole time.
Both times?
More so the first time.
Okay. Because you didn't know what to expect. I mean, you
Right.
did.
Kind of the second time,
But-
yes, but the first time, yeah, I thought, oh, is she going to be premature? Is she going to, I don't know, die in my womb? Going to have congenital anomalies, not have.
I mean,
like,
were
have-
you
not have-
on a toxic, what is it called, like bedridden or anything? Was it anything?
No,
No.
I never had any problems.
No. Good.
But yeah, just with I just had higher blood pressure and swelling, so it was
And
like
I almost died because the bullhorn was wrapped around my throat.
So I had a cesarean section, but that was fine.
How were the early years with us? Like, did we cry a lot? Were we good babies? Like,
No, you were both good babies. Leah was kind of a little bit of failure to thrive because I tried to breastfeed, but she wouldn't suck. So she wasn't getting any nourishment. So she just dropped weight big time. And so she had to be hospitalized. And the nurses had to work with her to get her sucking reflex going. And back in that day, she was in a Catholic hospital run by nuns. That's where she was born at. And I remember she was at a room all the way down at the end of the hall. And it's so strange when I think about it because nobody stayed with her. Nowadays, when you have a child in the hospital,
have
you
to.
have to have somebody stay
I
with
wouldn't
that
live.
child.
Oh, yeah. If I ever
They
had a
wouldn't
kid,
allow you.
Oh,
They wouldn't allow you
oh.
to stay with her. So, I mean,
it's crazy.
I just would wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh my gosh. Because even my mom put ideas into my head. She goes, a cleaning lady could put her in her shopping bag and steal her. Because back in the day, that's when kids were being stolen and kidnapped and everything else. So I
It's
would
way
wake
worse. It's way worse these days
I woke
with
up in the middle of the
kidnapping.
night, yeah, and I go, can somebody go check on Leah? Is she still there? And but even if she would choke or something, now that you think about it, like I said, I worried about everything being pregnant, and then she was in the hospital. I worried, but they wouldn't allow you to stay overnight. They wouldn't allow it.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they couldn't put her in the nursery because you can't have babies that are readmitted put in the nursery. So I don't know why they just couldn't bring her in the nurse's station or something. I don't know. But anyway, she did fine. You did fine. You were a very quiet baby because, you had your ears blocked. You had to have the tubes.
Yeah, I had tubes in my ear.
So you couldn't really hear anything. So
Yeah.
I guess once you had the tubes removed, you were a lot more animated.
I was a lot more louder, y'all. That's what she's trying to say.
Yeah.
So what is like one of your favorite memories of us together? I know we're talking about child, but if it's now, I mean, I guess just of anything. If it's better when I was a kid or, just one of your favorite memories of us together.
I think camping. I know you guys hated it. But I love camping. I loved it. I love being in the tent with you guys and sleeping bags. And I remember that one time we camped at Bryce Canyon in Utah and it got so cold. I remember I was putting you guys in your winter jackets with your hoods and your sleep. I thought you guys were going to freeze overnight. And then Dad, of course, got up to go to the bathroom and he goes, "Oh, you got to come out and look at the stars." He goes, "They're so beautiful." I was so cold I couldn't even get out of my sleeping bag to look at the stars.
Wow.
But yeah.
I know, yeah. Like, I know we did a road trip when I visited you in Nevada, and that was amazing. That was fun.
Yeah.
Even though I hate car rides, I hate driving.
Well, you thought a serial killer was going to come and get us.
Well, yes, because we were the only ones tent camping. Who tent camps these days? Everyone has their campers and things like that. But again, like you're talking about the stars, like when it was like 3 o'clock, we got up to go to the bathroom, and I just look out, and I've never seen stars like that in my life.
You could see the Milky Way.
You can see the Milky Way. I mean, the stars, like millions and millions you could see. And then it was really actually, I had a moment there that I actually saw a shooting star. And it's like, oh, Dad. But I'm always sentimental with that stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed that trip.
I love tent camping. I love it.
Yes. And so now we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're only going to spend like maybe a couple of minutes on this. But what is something life has taught you that school never did?
Oh, it's a lot. School really didn't teach me a lot at all.
School didn't teach me shit either.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This is just a piece of paper. It's just
right.
a degree.
I agree.
I mean, I learned so much.
I know if our decisions
I
were
mean,
the
even
same.
nursing on the job, I learned so much from my coworkers, more than I ever learned in a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, life is precious. I mean, that's number one. I think that, gosh, I mean, everybody is a human being and everybody just I think for the most part, people try to do the best they can do and be the best person they can be. And I think you have to respect each person because everybody's just trying to get along in this world and it's not easy.
It really isn't.
It's not easy.
And it's just getting worse. And that's what's sad.
And you have to treat everybody with common respect and dignity and, give them the benefit of a doubt. I know a lot of people are just being crazy and you see people driving and they're so rude. And I mean, but I don't know, I mean, then somebody's nice to you and it just makes sense. I mean, somebody opens the door for you or something, or somebody does something for you and you don't expect it. Then you just everything, your confidence in human nature is rekindled. But I think you just have to keep in your mind that just life is so precious and it's so fleeting. And it's just, if somebody's sick or not feeling well or something, you just better go visit them because you don't know when it's going to be their last day. Because I remember when my dad was in the hospital and I was in Las Vegas and he was hospitalized. And I remember my mom said, "Here, Kay," she was on the phone, "talk to your dad. He's here." And I heard him say, "Oh, goodbye, Kay." And she went home and they called her and he had died.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I never knew that you had that conversation.
He was talking from his hospital bed, and my mom had the phone. And she
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, Kay's on the phone. Say
Mm.
goodbye, Dad." And he did.
You're gonna make me cry.
I know.
So have you ever had a moment in your life that, moment that surprised you? Like you were like, oh wow, I achieved this, or any moment that you surprised yourself in your lifetime so far?
That's a hard one.
We can always come back to it another
Yeah,
day.
I know. That's a hard
It's
thing.
a big question. We'll come back to it another day.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
hard one.
You'll have time to think about it next time you come visit.
Yeah.
Um, what is your biggest hope for me?
That you'll be happy.
That's it.
Don't you want to be happy?
I do want to be happy, and hopefully one day I'll get there.
Because you said to me this morning, even you go, I just woke up and I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
And that shouldn't be.
No.
You should wake up and you should go, oh, it's a new day. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some coffee. I'm going to get up, do this, do that. But if you slept 8 hours, you should not be tired. So
I know me and Angel, she's not here with us this time, but we talked about COVID, and I think that had a lot to do with everything in life. We don't have a lot of time for that, to discuss about that, but I know my life has changed.
that should almost be another podcast, the effects of COVID.
Yes, indeed, indeed. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Do you have any questions for me?
No, just try to be happy.
I love you so much. You're so adorable.
Oh, I love you too. That's
Yes.
why I'm here visiting, because I
Yes.
miss you.
Yes. Well, I thank you so much for sitting down with me. I know always, I know people always say, talk to your parents while you can. Talk to anyone, like you said, like you can. Like just a simple phone call. If someone like comes across your mind, call them or send them a cute little, like just a text message, say, hey, thinking of you.
Yeah,
That
and
goes a long way.
the thing about it too is I know when there's just two kids in a family, I'm sure you don't have a lot of the memories that I had, because when
Well,
there's
yeah.
8 kids,
Yeah.
that's a lot of people to have fun with.
But we did a lot, like
plus,
when I
yeah,
was a
plus
kid.
plus the grandmother lived
Yeah.
with us, so we had a
But,
mom
I mean,
and dad and a grandmother. So
we
that was
did
a
a
great
lot.
network.
We did. We went on a lot of vacations together. When I was in school,
A lot of camping, which you hated.
We spent a lot of times, in Chicago with our cousins. We used
Disney
to do
World,
plays,
cruises,
yeah, and so we did a lot. So
hiking, yeah.
So I'm really glad we did this.
Mm-hmm. It was fun.
Like I said, anything you need from me, want to wrap up, want to discuss something that we didn't speak about.
No, just like you said, that one question I didn't have an answer to.
We'll come back to
yeah,
that
that's really
next time.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot because, you're around 70 and you've lived a huge life. You've done a lot of things in your life and a lot of things that you should be proud of. I wouldn't know what to say if someone asked me that question off guard. But yeah, I thank you for taking your time out and talking with me and letting the viewers know a little bit about you and me, my backstory. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Again, thank you guys so much for your support. You can follow us or listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and we will see you next time. Oh, and also before we get and again, thank you guys so much for your 10 episode support. We really appreciate you. Again, if you have any comments or suggestions, definitely give us an email at the podlife of Angel and Tina at gmail.com. I hope you guys have an amazing week. We are recording this before Father's Day, so I hope you guys have a lovely Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to all you wonderful fathers.
Yes, and if you don't have a father, hopefully you'll have someone to do something with and just cherish the memories that you did have with them. And we will see you next week.
Bye.